Let me pin my video and go to.
Increase the size of the board.
Hello.
Yes, can you increase the size of the board, please?
Yeah, I think this is already. Yeah, this is normal, right? I mean, is it looking very slow? Because this normally it is even smaller than this one, I think. Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. So we'll look at Phillidor's defense. Briefly, we'll look at. Okay, we're not going very deep. There are a lot of things, variations, etc. But we'll look at the main this one. And just incidentally, Phillidor's defense was the only defense that India's second grandmaster, Divyendu Barua, knew. He's from Assam. He's like self-developed player. He did not have any coaching, this, that, etc. So only in defense that he knew from against E5 was Phillidor's defense. So till he became, I think, international master, he was only playing this opening. It is not considered great opening, but it's a okay, sturdy opening. Okay, it is not as great. Matlab, it doesn't give as many chances as Sicilian defense, French defense, Caro-Can, etc. But let us see it. E4, E5, and it's a NF3 and D6, right? D6 is the defense that black says, okay, let me advance a pawn and then defend my E pawn, right? So slightly black gets a bit cramped position, but it is very solid otherwise. Okay, no problem. So normal position for white here is either play bishop to C4 or D4, and D4 is a good move here because white can, what is white's intention with D4 is that he wants to liquidate one pawn in the center. See, black will not want to allow this one. Okay, so black, you know that black cannot play bishop to G4 because there is a famous game, you know, Morpheus game, opera game, where this was the opening, and then Morpheus piled up the attack on black side, sacrifice a knight and a rook also, finally, and checkmate him, right? But it gives a lot of attack for white. So bishop to G4 is wrong. Okay. Second one is black should play knight F6 here. Knight to D7 sometimes is played, but is wrong in this because white plays bishop to C4. And now what is the thing? So now this gets a pretty decent initiative for white. Okay, because now what are we going to do? Black ends up playing only C6 because other two moves actually do not work out that well. So if he plays bishop to knight to what do you call, knight to F6, then white goes D takes C5. Okay. Now black has to take it with the knight. If he takes it with the pawn, then very simple, knight to G5. See, this kind of a thing happens. So that's why actually bishop to C4, and you always have to be on the lookout. And the moment you play knight to D7, right, then you are blocking your own bishop, right? So it cannot do anything there. And so this is the reason why so this kind of gets forced. So hence after knight to G6, D takes E5, then knight takes E5. This becomes forced, and then white takes this knight, and D takes now forced. D takes E6. Bishop takes F7. Right? King cannot directly take the bishop because then queen is hanging. I mean, king can take it, but then you end up losing a pawn. See, there is this bishop D4 check, and queen comes back to D2. And then it is not that you have won a free queen, but you have won a free pawn definitely, and black's king is dismantled, right? So all of this happens. So this is the reason why knight G to F6 here after knight to D7, bishop to C4, right? Knight to G to F6 is not good because of these reasons. Okay, and similarly, if you don't play knight to G6, let us say what else do you play, right? If we have looked at C6 is the reasonable okay move. Knight to F6, bishop to E7 is another move. But if you play bishop to E7, then D takes E5, knight takes E5 again. See, again D takes E5 will not help here because queen is now going to D5 and piling up on the F7 square, right? And knight to H6 is not going to help because bishop takes H6, right? So this is a very clear thing. So that is the reason why after bishop to e7, see both knight to f6 allows knight to g5, but prevents queen to d5. Bishop to e7 prevents knight to g5, but allows after exchange, allows the queen to come to d5. So d takes e5, and now d takes e5 does not help. So what do we do? So we do knight takes e5. Now it is defending f7, also attacking bishop to c4, but knight takes e5, d takes e5, and queen to h5. So queen to h5, again there is a threat on the f7 pawn. Threat on the f7 pawn. So black will need to defend that f7 pawn, and in the meanwhile white will win a pawn, at least a pawn, right?
On e5 as well, right?
Sorry?
A threat is there on e5 as well. The e5 pawn is under it.
e5 is also under threat, f7 is also under threat, right? So there is no easy way to defend. In fact, it is a very knight to h6 also does not help, because bishop takes h6, and it's a mate, not mate, but it is thing. So it is very crooked position. So both of these are happen, but these are interesting ideas. So this was not visible upfront. So that's why you have to know this. Okay. So knight f6 also there is a antidote from white, and bishop to e7 also there is an antidote. So both of these you should know, because these same ideas can occur in other positions also. Okay, so it is very important, because only with these ideas do you know the power of bishop to c4. Okay, it is not always with knight to g5, but also queen to h5 also comes into picture, and that is the reason why this whole line is actually knight to d7 is not a good line for black, and that is the reason why up front it should play bishop instead knight to f6. Okay. Now, what about knight to c6? Knight to c6 is also bad, because you can easily push forward the pawn and again put back this one, and then play c4 probably, and then get a bind in the center. So that is the reason why. See, these are the reasons why Phillidor's defense is nowadays not too many people play it. Sometimes they will play it for a reason, but because black has to be very careful and has to be very thing. So the right way for black is knight f6, and then white plays knight c3. Okay, white does have the option of playing b takes e5. Okay, now black cannot take back with the pawn, because then queens will get exchanged and white will pick up the pawn on e5 and threatening on f7 with a fork. So that is the reason why black takes knight takes e4. But then white plays knight b to d2. Okay. So knight either has to go back, or better is to exchange it. But now white, so black has lost the move, you will say, tempo wise. Right? Tempo wise, black has lost him. So that way white gets a slight more advantage in attacking. So but it is okay. It is not really bad. Blacks, both bishops are now okay. This bishop is also okay on bishop e7, and then it's quite okay for black. So instead white, so this is an option for white to play. But instead, after knight f6, generally white will play knight c3. This is the natural move that will go. And now it is okay for black to play knight b to d7. Okay. Because now if you play bishop to c4, you are one move, this one, right? Black has already played knight f6, and now, see, now you are playing bishop c4. Now black plays bishop e7, so it is ready to castle. Now, so knight g5 will not work now. Now g5 if you play, very simply black will castle. Right? So this is the way that the variations play out. And now generally white will castle, black will castle, white will, a lot of options white has, but white will try to put his queen on rook on d1, because then he wants to open the d file by exchanging, and then black's queen is there, so he will want to put some pressure along the d file with his rook, right? So, but black also plays c6, and then white wants to prevent b5, so white plays b4, and the game will continue. So I think this is an interesting game. White does have an attack, but it is okay. From black side also it is solid. Okay, so as long as you play this initial moves correctly, right? These things, and then nc3, nbd7, and then c6 and bishop e7. I think castle. I think it is okay. Black will also. Black doesn't have as many counter-attacking chances as, like, say, two knights defense or Italian opening, etc. Because there black also is ready to attack in case white makes mistakes. But here black will be going slowly, but it's a solid opening. Okay, it is worth knowing this and worth trying out sometimes, and sometimes it will work as a surprise. Okay, any questions? Any? We can see one, probably there is one sample game, yeah, in this opening, which is interesting. We can see this just to illustrate how it is. E4, E5, NF3, D6, D4, see, D4, NF6, and then knight C3, knight BD. And it is following our opening just now, what we had seen. Bishop to C4, bishop to E7, castle, castle, and then white plays A4. Actually, yes, castle, castle, E4, C6, then queen E2. Right, this is exactly what we have seen. And now at this point, now here black is ready to exchange. E takes D4, knight takes D4, and black is actually okay. So this would have been okay, but the next move is slightly erroneous. Black thinks that with this tactical thing, he's liquidating the center. Okay, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and then he plays d5. So what he's thinking is he's getting back his piece, and it is quite okay, and white's center is gone, right? So that is what black thinks it is okay. But sometimes these things are not so clear. In fact, white continues to have the initiative, the attack. Now black has to take one of the pieces, right? So normally what used to happen in this position is the bishop used to retreat here. Okay, either on b3, most likely on b3 it used to go, and then black used to take this knight, queen used to take it, the pawn, and then rook used to come here and then put pressure on the queen, so queen used to go back, and that is how it used to happen. But in this case, this master, right, Seshkovsky, he tried a new plan for white, which is that, okay, so because normally white would want to retain his bishop and give up the knight, but here white is saying, okay, you are free to take my bishop if you want, right? And then so black does take this bishop, and now there is a very powerful attack. Here is this is the idea: bishop to h6. Now you cannot really, if g takes h6, if you accept the piece sacrifice, it's another piece white is sacrificing. Then queen to g4, and this is actually losing for black. Why?
G5.
Bishop to g5 will come. Bishop to g5 will come, and then h4 will come.
Okay.
And bishop cannot move anywhere, right? Bishop cannot move. In fact, even before that, right? Even before h4, knight can take h6 also. So bishop to g5, bishop is pinned, knight can take h6 and remove one defender of the bishop and give a check to the king.
Yeah, but then the pawn takes the knight.
No.
And it is supported by the queen as well.
No, wait. Just see. If bishop comes to g5, right? Imagine in this position, if bishop comes to g5, knight takes h6 first. Gives a check to the king. Okay. Then after that, now this knight and queen are attacking the bishop, and only queen is defending it. So you can very easily.
Yeah.
Right. So g to h6 does not work, and even bishop to f6 trying to defend the g7 pawn also does not work. Why?
Because
bishop takes g7, and now bishop will take g7, and queen will come to g4 and pin the bishop, and there is no way to defend that bishop anymore. Right? See, all of these things, if you recall, then again, what do you call? I keep saying, right, that the the knight not being there on f6 causes a lot of problems. If the knight is there on f6, then queen g4 is never possible, right? Because the knight you have exchanged off, and now it allows the queen to come into picture. So always remember. So bishop h6. Now actually black's best play is to put the other knight on f6. It is at least better. Okay. So other knight on f6 is better because it is this one. But now white has got a solid initiative. So how does white continue this initiative? He plays knight e to g3. Now next he is planning to get to. So black wants to. Too many pieces are hovering around black's king. So black wants to exchange. So bishop takes f5, knight takes f5. And now black says, okay, maybe I can take the piece that is offered because queen cannot come to g4. Right, queen cannot come to g4. That is the thing. But white is also getting his piece. So it is not like white is a piece down. So knight to e7 and king to g7 because you have to protect the h6 pawn. You can't afford to go to h8. Otherwise, queen will come to d3 and then this one. So king to g7, king to h8 will be followed by queen to e5, pinning the knight. Right? And it's very difficult to support. There is no way to support the knight. Right? This is a king. So that is why king to g7. King to g7. Now knight comes back to f5. Now king comes up further because he wants to continue to protect the h6 pawn. Now again knight goes e7, king g7, and now queen. This time he brings up the queen and pins the knight. So black is trying to somehow. White is definitely getting his. Now from here, white queen now can go to g3. Right, can go to g3. And then he can get his other rook also into d1 or whatever, e1, and then bring up the rook. So black wants to desperately not allow that and place queen to b8 because he would rather exchange the queens rather than allow this. And now white plays knight to f5 check. Again king goes to g6, and now white knight goes to d6, preventing the exchange of queens. And white has got a solid initiative. So black king goes back to g7. Now white brings the rook. See, the d6 knight, not only is it preventing the queen, but it is also preventing the black rook from coming to e8. Right? See, now the black rook also would have liked to come to e8, but it cannot come to e8. So it goes rather to d8. And then white defends it. Rook a d1. Black tries to improve his position. And white also improves his position because now the rook is coming into attack. Knight is pinned. Black's knight on f6 is pinned. So next, rook is coming to g4. Right? Rook is coming to g4. So, and you cannot play h5 because queen will come to g5 check and then pick up the knight on f6. So queen to c7 and now rook to g4. So now what is happening is after this, now definitely the knight is falling. Knight on f6 is falling. And white is a piece up with a strong attack. So black resigns. I think it is again, such games are interesting to see all the ideas that are there. A lot of powerful ideas were there in this game. And started off with this standard opening position, but here d5, which black thought that it is perfectly equal, but it is not. White was having initiative. So after this bishop h6 was a very powerful move because that created all that attack. Right, and it is not easy to think because you will not think, oh, why will I give up the bishop, etc. But these ideas will help you to understand how possibilities exist in the game. So you have to think creatively. And for this, time is required. So that's why these kind of games you cannot play in 7 minutes, 10 minutes, etc. You need 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour at least to play these kind of games, probably even longer. Okay, so this was the Phillidor's defense. Okay. Any questions? If not, we will also take a quick look at the Petrov's defense. Petrov's defense is named after Alexander Petrov. You can call it as Petrov or Petrov. I think both ways are it is okay. That is German Russian pronunciation like that. So he was a brilliant Russian player before Chigorin. Chigorin was there from around, let us say, around 1875, 1880 onwards till 1900 or even 1905, etc. So these are around 25, 30 years. But yeah, Petrov was there before, maybe 1860 to 1880, around that period. 1850 also probably, 1850 to 1850. And he was the top chess player of Russia at that point of time. So he introduced this defense, and it is still a very sound defense. Okay, that the great thing about Petrov's is even right now, it is employed right now also at the highest level. And anybody wants to get a draw from, I think many times they prefer Petrov's defense because it is very easy, very difficult. They are finding it to break it. So what is the opening? E4, E5, NF3, NF6. Okay, black is saying I'm going to also counter attack rather than defending. Okay, now this can backfire if you don't know what to do, but if you know properly Petrov's defense, if you know, it can be a very good weapon. And it does not have too many lines to memorize and this one. So that way, Petrov's defense is a good defense to think, provided you know few things you have to know how to think, because initially there is some pressure that white can generate. That if you know exactly how to handle, then it's a very good thing, because unlike Sicilian, which is a jungle, Sicilian is like the Amazon rainforest. So many variations, so many possibilities that you can't even, in one lifetime also you can't get it. So then other things, French, Caro-Can, Roy Lopez, again, lot of things are there. But E4, E5, NF3, NF6, right in the opening itself, you get into a different variation of viewers. And there is not too many things that white can do differently. So you can, this is a good thing to have as your repertoire as from the black side. If you play E5. If you play E5, then against E4, E5. But only thing is that you may not get as many attacking chances from this. It's a good thing for equality and drawing. Okay. Doesn't mean that at our level any game is okay, because it is okay. It is at a grandmaster level, they consider it as a more of a drawish. This one. Okay. So what does white go about? D4. This is the best move for white. Not knight takes E5. Knight takes E5 is also okay, but black also black should not take back with the pawn. Black should first play D6. Okay, and then white comes back to knight to F3, and now black takes the central pawn. And what to call? White plays. I mean, it is okay. Now after this, there are many options for white. White can play D4 and black will play D5. Okay, and then white will play bishop to D3. This knight will simply go back to F6. Okay, and it is king file is open, but both sides are equally developed, so there is no problem as such. White castles, black plays bishop to E7, ready to castle. Right, that happens. Or the other way around, white queen comes here, and then it's a very, very equalizing thing. Black also queen comes in, and white plays D3, and black simply goes back. And if you play bishop to G5, try to create a counter flow, it doesn't really help because black is ready to exchange. And then bishop to E7. So knight C3, C6, cast 000 here, and black plays. Black knight is going to C7 from here, knight to A6. Sometimes you'll say, oh, why does that knight go to the edge? But very clear idea is that knight wants to get back to C7 and then play D5, right? And maybe black knight can come to E6 also after that, because then he will harass this bishop and he will say, oh, do you want to exchange? If you exchange, black is okay, right? So black knight is coming to C7 and then to E6 here. Okay, so pretty okay game for black. So that is the reason why normally white does not take it this way. White prefers to play D4, because there are some options are there. Now there are two variations. Black taking on e4 is not that great. Not that great. This is not that great. White plays bishop to d3, and then black has to play d5, and then white plays e5. So knight takes e5 and bishop d6. So it looks like equal position. Again, this is also okay. There is nothing wrong as such. There is nothing specifically wrong as such. So knight takes e4 is okay. Knight takes e4 is actually perfectly okay in this position. In fact, I think it is better to play this. E takes d4. The other option that is there is after this. The other option is e takes d4, but that allows white to play e5. Okay, and now you can start panicking. What will you do? What will you do? You should not panic. You should play. In such cases, remember you have a central pawn. Black has got a central pawn here. It is the and you have the possibility of playing d5. So you should not go back here. You should just play knight to e4. Okay, knight to e4, and then if queen takes this, then you play d5. Right. See, the idea is there. You are trying to get bishop to c5, and then you have a threat on the f2 pawn. Black does not want to allow this, so he will take d6. But black is very happy to take. White does not want to allow it. Black is very happy to take knight to take d6 and knight c3, knight c6, attacking the queen. Queen to f4. Okay, and quite okay. This is quite okay for no problem. So where to develop the what do you call it? Where to develop the black bishop? Black decides to play g6 here and get it on the long diagonal. So white plays bishop to d2, black plays bishop to g7, queenside castle, bishop to e6. So standard development has happened on both sides, and black is also perfectly okay. There is no problem. White wants to put some pressure by playing knight to g5, but black is ready to take the equal this, no problem. Queen takes f6, bishop takes f6, knight takes e6, f takes e6. You think that the e pawn is now weak, a little bit weak. Yeah, it is a little bit weak, but white attacks it. But actually, king comes to d7, and then now he's bringing the other rooks. Black does not even bother to castle here because already the queens are out, and king to d7 is a perfectly okay move here. And get the other rook onto probably rook a to e8, and it is quite okay, right? Quite okay here, no problem. So this way it can move out. There is one thing that there is something here. If you take e takes d4, sorry, I think in the other line, I think knight e5. Where is that? Sorry, knight takes e5 line. There is one thing. Black plays this, and here there is a Cochrane gambit is there, which sometime I will show it to you. But here, it's a speculative gambit. It's an attacking gambit, but white knight picks up the pawn on f7, sacrifices it. King takes f7, and then you play knight c3, so that white is picked up 2 pawns and given up a knight and dislodged the white king, right? So it is probably not enough if black plays very accurately in defense, but that's the way gambits used to be there, right? Gambits used to give up a pawn just like that, not just like that for attack. So it is a speculative attack. So you should know it, especially if you are playing black Petrov's defense. If you are playing, then you should know how to handle Cochrane attacks or Cochrane gambit as they call it. Okay. So Cochrane gambit, you will find a lot of videos. You will find it even on leeches. You will find them. Let's go in the video library. Let us check for both. What was that? First we looked at Phillidor, right? Phillidor's defense. Yeah, Phillidor's defense. You have videos here to watch. Chess opening, Phillidor's defense. And a lot of videos are there on Phillidor's defense. And also you have not the Phillidor position. Phillidor position is from the end game or Phillidor thing, but Phillidor's opening, and then Petrov. Petrov, let us search. Oh, there is nothing. Okay, Petrov. Petrov's defense. There is, okay, they are naming it as Petrov. You have to look at the thing. So yeah, I think there is only one video looks like for Petrov's defense, but it's okay. And then Cochrane Gambit. Let me see if there is anything in the leeches library. Okay, the leeches library is not there, but there are other on YouTube video. If you go that GJ Shah, right, Gunjan Shah, he has got, I think, Cochrane Gambit videos. So Cochrane Gambit. Okay, Alterman also has got. Boris Alterman had a series, and I have created a playlist out of it. So in that you will find Cochrane Gambit also, and there is Petrov's Defense Academy. So yeah, you will find this. This is very Knight of F7. See, so interesting. There are at least 2-3 videos you will find. So, so it is interesting to see this. Do watch it and enjoy it. Gunjan Shah. Let me see if there is a GJ Shah might also have GJ chess. This guy learns a lot of what do you call traps, tricks, and things. That is what is his videos about, GJ Shah. And you can search. Yeah, he also has got this Petrov Laskar attack and on inning Shara Gambit. I think a couple of gambits are there. So you can check this out. GJ Shah is the channel. Okay, you can subscribe to it. A lot of interesting. I think at intermediate level you can use all of these tactics and traps actually. Not to fall into it first of all if you are playing, and second is even if you are playing you can try this. Okay, so this is a good channel to subscribe. Okay, any questions? So do try out both these openings just to get a hand on it. See, at early stage, right, should just play a few games, at least 10-12 games should play in all the openings so that you get a feel of it, and then you choose your particular ones. That is there. And at this stage now, you have to start seriously thinking about a strategy for the opening rather than just playing it. So you should have in mind, what will I play if I want to play for win? What will I play if I'm playing against a stronger player or a weaker player? Like that, you should have some 2-3 things about against E4. What will I play against E5? Like this, you can have some thought around it and then play it. Okay. Okay, what else? We are also going to look at Roy Lopez and King's Gambit in sections, but probably each one will take two sessions at least, because there are a lot of what you call King's Gambit. If we go, then basic King's Gambit, and then a lot of what you call at least 3-4 main variations you will need to know. Bishop's Gambit, King's Gambit declined. That is also an opening. Then Fogbear counter Gambit. I think we can cover this in, and then this game we had seen it earlier. And then there is Bronstein Botwinic. These were things. So I think it will take two sessions for us to cover a brief overview of the King's Gambit. So we can do. And then Roy Lopez, it might take us 3 sessions, or we'll try to do it in 2 only. Okay. Fine. So I am only using this opening section from this from beginner to club player. I think many of you will have this course already, or maybe as winning or whatever. So in that, it has got a small section on openings, and I think that itself is enough. It is covering all the open games, semi-open games, and closed. This is enough even at a level 4, level 5 we are in. This much knowledge of the openings is quite okay if you follow the principles and play. And then now level 6, I think we'll get into specific openings much deeper. We'll have to get it. But otherwise, but in level 5, I think you will have to know this much what he's teaching, right? This much breadth of knowledge you should have, even in closed openings, semi-closed openings, right? French defense, I think we had looked at it. Sicilian, Caro-Can, Perk defense. Perk and Alekhines will cover it in one session. And Queen's Gambit. So who plays? I think Srushti, you play D4, right?
Yes, sir.
And you play Queen's Gambit, or?
Actually, I usually play Queen's Gambit and King's Gambit too, but in most of the offline chess tournaments, I go for Queens as well as Kings. I mean, it depends on the opponents
Okay.
I get to play.
Okay, okay. You play King's Gambit also, huh? Good. What about Madhura?
I like the Italian from the start.
Italian from the starter as white, and from the black?
From the black, depends. If white plays e4, then e5 and f3. Then I develop the bishop.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, like standard.
Okay, okay. And what about Ramnath?
So I usually do Queen's Gambit.
You also play Queen's Gambit, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we have till now we have not covered the Queen's Gambit, but it is also we will cover it. Queen's Gambit, we'll cover it, and Cambridge Springs defense, standard classical Queen's, what you call classical defense. Lot of things is there. Actually, Queen's Gambit also has got a lot of theory. Lot of variations are there. Some 10, 12 variations are there.
The Scotch Gambit is also very interesting.
Yeah, Scotch Gambit is very nice. At least I like Scotch Gambit also. Okay, fine. So here in Scotch and Italian we already covered, so we'll not do that. But we may cover 2 nights defense also.
Should we rejoin?
No, I think we are done. I think we are almost. So I'm not, because I will not start on a new one right now, but it will take a lot of time. So we'll do it in a separate this. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So all right then. Okay, and do enjoy the Anand's tournament right now, which is live. It is there live on YouTube also. So
Bye,
okay.
sir. Good night.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye.